They wait and wait for justice. The wait is hardest for those who cannot afford a lawyer, for those who must rely on a government-appointed and government-paid public defender.
I have a violation of probation for monetary reasons, and I'm going to have to use a public defender.
How do you feel about that?
I'm nervous because I feel like they have too many cases and they can't do their best job on the cases that they do have.
Judge, and I have my own case.
Public defenders are an American tradition. The U.S. Constitution guarantees the poor the right to a free legal defense. But they have almost always been overworked, and their workload now has reached a crisis point.
I'm here on both cases for a motion to declare him indigent for cause.
For 4 years, Arthur Jones worked as a public defender, upholding the legal rights of the poor and defending his clients in court even though they couldn't pay him. A man proud to serve the ideal of justice for all.
There are a great number of people who get arrested, accused of a crime, and they're not criminals, but they are accused of a crime. And when those people get into the system, when they enter that courthouse, they're going to want a system that's intact and that respects their rights.
And I'll leave you on for trial on March 9th.
But in November, Jones made a painful decision. As the state government continued its cutbacks, he quit.
There's no raises, no bonuses. So not only are you losing some zeal because of the cause that you want to be a part of, but you also cannot provide for your family. You're also strapped financially. And so it kind of comes from both ends at you, and it just kind of squeezes you, and you find despair.
You know, there's an attitude in America that you get what you pay for.
Howard Finkelstein is the chief public defender in Broward County. He says the system may be hurting, but public defenders are needed now more than ever.
The reason for public defenders is the very reason that America was birthed. It's based upon the very simple, truthful statement that we are all God's children. We are all equal. And just because somebody has money, just because somebody's of one race, or just because somebody's of one religion, does not mean they should get better or worse treatment. All should be treated equally. That's the American way.
But the American way is running into problems. Some public defenders have to take on more than 200 cases a year. In 7 American states, public defenders are simply refusing to take on more cases or have taken a lawyerly approach to their crisis. They're suing the state governments, including the one here in Florida. The wait is getting so long, some lawyers say the Constitution itself is threatened by the recession.
Justice delayed is justice denied. And the same with money. If money doesn't allow us to move forward with our justice system, it's delayed. That means the men and women that sit in that jail behind us and the men and women that come on this line are having their justice denied to them. It's not right.
A big part of the problem is the crumbling U.S. economy. As it continues to slow down, lines like these outside of American courthouses continue to grow ever longer. That's because local taxes pay the salaries of public defenders, and they take on more than half of the criminal cases in the United States. As the crisis worsens, skepticism about public defenders increases.
They call the public defender public pretender because they pretend like they fighting your case, but really they fighting you.
Arthur Jones had to return to private practice to feed his family. But in his heart, he would still like to help those in need, those forced to accept help from an overworked and underpaid public defender.
You're more likely to stay in this system longer than you need to be. Or you may end up in prison for something you just totally didn't do.
Worst of all, he says, is the strains on the system will likely get worse. Not just because there's less and less money to pay for public defenders, but because the crumbling economy may mean the poor will be more and more tempted to turn to crime. Nick Spicer, Al Jazeera, Miami.